know when the next Jubilee is. According to the Dead Sea Scroll calendar, the last 50 years is the last Jubilee for the age. And so that starts in 2025 and ends in 2075 if we have the calendar correct. And people look at me sometimes and say, are you trying to set a date? It's like, no, I'm just trying to set the calendar. There are legends about the kingdom starting in the year 6000, and that may or may not be correct. And people would say that's a long ways off. If the Dead Sea Scroll calendar is wrong and the current Jewish calendar is right, the one that we've always went by until we discovered this, the year 6000 is not for like, I think it's 220 years or something like that. So if that's correct, I mean, if the idea of Messiah coming in the year 6000, Messiah doesn't come back in for like 200 and some years. If the Dead Sea Scroll calendar is correct, he's coming back sometime in the next 50 years. So we've got, I think, 55 years basically. And again, you're talking about, even if that's correct, that's the second coming. 7 years prior to that's the 7-year tribulation. The rapture is just sometime before that. So the rapture really could be any time. It could be today. I mean, there's just flat no way to put a date on the rapture. You could possibly put dates on other things. And I wouldn't think the rapture would be hundreds of years before the second coming, because Enoch says that it's one of the reasons for it is to engender repentance. And you can think about it today, for instance, there are people that deny the Holocaust ever occurred, for instance. That would be absolutely impossible 5 years after the event, or 2 or 3 years after the event. But now it's been 80 years. There's enough time that people can say, I don't know if that really happened or not. So if you think about that, 80 years after the rapture, there would be some people going, I don't think that was it. And the point would be moot, I think. That's just my opinion. But yeah, for instance, if we go to, here's the Dead Sea Scroll calendar. Let me refresh it just to make sure we're not anything weird. So here's, it starts at 2020. Or so in AD 2020 in March would be New Year's, and that's 5945. So in the year 2025, yeah, there we go. That's 5950. So at that point starts the last Jubilee. So, and if we go to 2075, I think I can do that. I think I put that in here. Yeah, 2075 is the year 6000, according to this calendar. So hope that helps. So be aware of that, the concept of the kingdom maybe starting in the year 6000, but also be aware of the fact that this would be 2075, but the current Jewish calendar would have it, 200 years from now. And we can always hope and pray that I've miscalculated. Maybe it's, 40 years before. And what's interesting is that's the official date. And so the age of grace should have started in just 75 AD, which was the end of the age, and things did happen. So that's for sure. But the age of grace also, according to the scrolls and Galatians and other places, started at the birth of the church, which is 32 AD. That's a 40-year gap. And so it makes you wonder if the second coming tribulation, rapture, or something like that couldn't be around 2032 instead of 2075, just because that's the official date. And I mention this all the time, that the whole idea about how you would mark the end of the last age. Jesus was born in 2 BC, died in 32 AD, give or take a couple years. But the point is, then the church was born the same year. And then you've got the destruction of the Jerusalem temple in 70. That's a major event. The destruction or shutdown of the Alexandrian Jewish temple in 73, end of the age in 75 with the Council of Yavne. Then 130, you've got the Bar Kokhba rebellion, and 132 or 135, the rebellion is crushed and Israel ceases to exist. And at that point, it really is the Gentile age, the church age, So you've got all these things around a 100-year time period. And we've already seen stuff like that for around the end of the age. Israel came back in 1948, took back the Temple Mount in 67. I think it was 2004, the Sanhedrin was reconvened. So they have an official Sanhedrin. It doesn't have any official power in Israel. It's not part of the government yet anyway, but it exists. It's been reconstituted. Practice sacrifices started, 6 years ago now, I think it is. They have a priesthood, everything's ready to go, that kind of stuff. And all the little things, like we moved our embassy to Jerusalem, and, all those things could be reversed, of course, but I mean, it's just interesting that we're slowly drifting that direction, or maybe not slowly, but we're getting there. It's been 70, almost 80 years since Israel became a nation, 48, but things are happening.